Congressman Bobby Scott is pushing for change after our investigation into recent child abuse deaths. Scott says this is what happens when systems don't work. For weeks, we've been bringing you Heaven's story, the case of the Norfolk 11-year-old who was killed, allegedly by those who were supposed to care for her. 13 News Now investigative reporter Laura Geller joins us with new information.
Heaven's family tells us failures in the system led to her death in May, and they don't want this to happen to another child. So we brought her story to Congressman Bobby Scott. He now believes federal legislation could save children like Heaven.
People need to know. People need to know Heaven's story. Heaven's not here, but Heaven's not going to die in vain.
The pleas of Heaven Watkins' aunt are now reaching the halls of Congress.
Well, I think the system did fail, and these problems should not occur.
Virginia Congressman Bobby Scott watched as we uncovered these problems here in Norfolk. Heaven was just 11 when she was brutally beaten to death. Our investigation showed her family had a history with child protection in Minnesota. Virginia CPS got involved in February after the family moved to Norfolk, but caseworkers here kept the little girl in her home. Just 3 months later, Heaven would turn up dead, allegedly at the hands of her mother and mother's boyfriend. Officials won't say if CPS in Norfolk knew about that history in Minnesota. We've learned there's no easy way for caseworkers to find out a family's background in other states.
You just can't move to a state and start anew. If you have a background and information that's available, that ought to be available to the state you're in now.
To do that, Scott wants Congress to overhaul the Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act, or CAPTA. He hopes to include a tracking system for child abuse cases, so there would be a concrete way for CPS in one state to find out what happened in other states. If something like this is in place, do you think it could save kids' lives?
I think that's the entire point of the legislation, to save lives, because if someone is inappropriately placed, bad things can happen, as we unfortunately found out in Virginia.
Lawmakers discussed creating a national child abuse registry more than a decade ago, but it stalled with questions about funding, state participation, and restrictions under current law. We wanted to know why it hasn't been made a priority. Yeah. Scott says the delay comes down to party politics. So is this something you can say if the Democrats become a majority in the House that you will make a priority to discuss in Congress?
This is the capital legislation is a high priority for Democrats, and we'd expect to get it passed very early in the session if we were in control.
Back in Minnesota, Heaven's aunt hopes a national child abuse registry will become a reality, believing these changes to the child protection system would allow it to protect other kids in the future.
If you have a case, that case should follow you. It shouldn't go away because you move to a different state.
Do you think that could have saved Heaven?
Yes.
We reached out to the Republican chair of Scott's committee, Representative Virginia Foxx of North Carolina. A spokesperson for the majority on the committee calls Heaven's story heartbreaking and unacceptable. She tells us updating CAPTA will take bipartisan commitment, and those conversations are ongoing. Laura Geller, 13 News Now.